Hi guys, my name's Seb Tudor, I'm the man on the Silver Mountain and welcome back. Now today I want to talk about when to stop. Specifically the kind of limit that we should be putting ourselves, the boundary that we should be maintaining for ourselves when it comes to when we need to stop, when we need to put a pause on things, when we need to take time for ourselves, all that kind of stuff, as opposed to burning ourselves out and running ourselves into the ground. Now, knowing your limits can be incredibly important. That level of awareness can be the difference between making a huge failure happen or turning something into a grand success. Now, one of the things that stands out to me a lot when talking about this kind of stuff, more so than anything else, is that when talking to people about knowing their limits and stuff like that, they always treat it as if they know themselves well enough until it's questioned, and then purely because they're afraid of making a mistake, they're afraid of not doing enough, they're afraid of not being able to push towards that goal, even if they're entirely motivated and they're focused on the positive and they're always happy to keep going and keep going and keep going. One of the things that always crops up is their fear of making a mistake, both a mistake about the situation, but also possibly more scarily is the fear of them making a mistake about themselves. You know, that they overestimated themselves, that they didn't give themselves enough, or they gave themselves too much credit potentially, or didn't give themselves enough credit for the things that they want to do, should be doing, whatever. And so, you know, it can be tough. You know, knowing your limits requires a lot of trial and error. You know, a lot of running yourself right up against that boundary and then seeing if you're okay to keep going or not. But it can be draining to do that in a very normal trial and error kind of just run at something enough times to find out what's going on. You know, that can really burn someone out very quickly, possibly faster than just burning yourself out normally. You know, by just pushing and pushing and pushing, doing that trial and error and trying to keep track of yourself whilst you're doing it. You know, that split attention can burn you out just as fast as just hammering against a brick wall until something gives. So the thing that stands out to me in regards to knowing when to quit, especially knowing when to call things to an end, is that there are kind of four main things people should be doing and a lot of people aren't. Now, the first one is planning. And there are lots of different ways of planning, but I'm talking about planning very specifically in the kind of contingency planning that we see an awful lot in things like crisis management or to a degree risk assessment, but which often doesn't get touched on so much in your normal workplace reviews or your normal training or whatever else that goes on, especially doesn't get touched on in regards to private life, because there's no one there to help with reviewing unless you very specifically build up that kind of relationship that's built on, you know, occasional sit downs, reflection, review, discussion, that kind of thing. And also those things take time, which a lot of people don't have these days. But the type of planning that we're talking about here is the if-then kind of planning, where we have to go, right, well, if X happens, then Y must happen. You have to have that follow-on, you know, and there are lots of people that will just go, right, I plan to do this. But then they don't look at the, okay, well, if I do that, then what's the next step? Or if that doesn't work out and doesn't happen, then what's the next step? You know, and as a result, sometimes people will achieve. They'll do exactly what they want to do, but then they won't know where their next step is. They won't be prepared for it. They won't know what's coming or what's going. They will just be stuck in that space that they are potentially quite happy with for a while, but then it just becomes kind of a tomb that they've built around themselves if they just get into that place and get stuck. And no one wants to get stuck. It's a horrible claustrophobic thing. So we let's try and avoid that. The next thing is that a lot of people don't expect an awful lot of stress from the things that they're doing. You know, there are an awful lot of people that go, right, well, I've got this goal. But then all I need to do is just go for it. I just need to get there, right? Yeah, but then what are you having to sacrifice? What are the curveballs that are going to come up? How are you going to feel? And as a result, because no one's asking them those questions, and we're mostly focused on the positive for ourselves. So it's like, yes, we want to go and chase off and run after these things, and they're going to turn out great. They're going to be amazing. And I'm going to enjoy getting there because it's what I want to do. And now here's the problem. That's when the stress kicks in, because your defenses are down. You're not expecting it. You're not prepared for it. You're not ready for it. Any setbacks that pop up, well, you weren't really thinking about those things because you were thinking about that great end goal, that place you want to be, that golden castle on a cloud. And so, you sat there just trundling along, doing a thing, and then as soon as an obstacle gets in your way, it seems so much worse, and your body and your mind take on that stress several times more. They are several times more receptive to that stress than they would be otherwise. So what do we do to prepare for it? Well, again, some self-examination beforehand, a bit of planning so that you know where you're going, so you can be more secure and you don't have that much stress from the knowing what the next step is. But also, more importantly, you need to take time for yourself. You will have a variety of different things that you are doing in your life. You're going to be someone's partner, you're going to be potentially someone's parent, you're going to be someone's co-worker, you're going to be someone's employee, potentially someone's employer. You're going to be the person that does X, Y, and Z for your local community. You're going to be the person who is this specific person in this friend group, but this other specific person in that friend group. And so, you've got all of those things built into you. And regardless of where your goals are, those obstacles are going to pop up here and there and everywhere. You need to take time away from those things that you're working on and just have time for yourself. Sit down, read a book, sit down, listen to some music, go and have a nice long warm bath, go to the gym, go for a walk, sit down with a cat, dog, pet, whatever, and just relax. Yeah, you need to do that just to manage that level of stress. Because even if the thing that you're aiming for, the thing that you're trying to do is within your group of friends and you're all having a great time and all that kind of thing, there are still going to be obstacles. There are still going to be things that jump out of you, and the more positive you are about a thing, the more you're enjoying it, the more weight that obstacle is going to have behind it when it hits you. So, take the time for yourself. Make sure that you have that time to regenerate, recuperate, just cool off and be okay. Which leads us on to our next point, which is, get a good understanding of your emotions. Because, you don't want things creeping up on you. You don't want it to be a kind of straw that breaks the camel's back moment and just brings you to tears over something that was supposed to be good, or something that was supposed to be fun, or something that was supposed to be easy. Yeah, you don't want that creep up on you. And this is where one of my other recent videos about journaling would really help, because you've then got that record of what you're feeling, what you're thinking, how it all relates, and how it progresses over time. That gives you a really good idea of where you are, what you're thinking and feeling, and you can analyze it. You can see what's impacting you, and maybe just avoiding that straw that broke the camel's back kind of moment, that little bit too much weight that just has the whole thing collapse around you, or you collapse underneath it. Let's avoid that by, again, taking that little bit of time, just scheduling that little bit of time to sit down and journal, taking that time to relax, taking that time to just think around your situation a little bit more and gain that understanding of yourself and the other things that you're doing. Now, the last thing kind of follows on from keeping it positive, but obviously we're not necessarily looking to look at things too positively here, because that's what blinds us to some of the negatives, some of the obstacles and things that are going to be racing our way. So the last thing, though, that we need to do is kind of try and keep our motivation up whilst not purely being positive all the time. How do we do that? You know, how do we stay motivated and positive and working hard and looking forward when we aren't trying to be so positive that we're blind to the things that could cause us problems? Well, simple. Apply incentives. We've talked about this before in regards to Skinner boxes and game development theory and all kinds of other bits and pieces. But give yourself your set of objectives, work towards those, and make sure they're small objectives, you know, day by day, chunk it all down, go through that and give yourself a reward at the end of the day if you achieve all of your things. And if not, then give yourself a commiseratory kind of gift, if you like, just to keep you on your feet. Either way, it still amounts to kind of the same thing, but it's all about just keeping yourself going. Yeah, motivation. It's very much the kind of Yoda thing: do or do not. You know, there is no try. It kind of, motivation by itself does kind of come down to that. If you have the capacity to go and do, then you will do. If you have the capacity to want to do, but not necessarily the capacity to actually do, then that's where try comes in, and it can often kind of lead to not very much. There's a difference between turning around to, say, a boss, or turning around to a partner or a friend or whoever and them going, I need you to do this, and you can go, well, look, what you're asking is potentially a tall order, or at the very least a lot of weight to put on one person. I have the capability to do a good chunk of that. I'll try to do all of it. You know, that's more kind of moderating expectation rather than demotivating. But when it comes to keeping yourself going, if you keep yourself going, keep that level of motivation whereby you're just functioning, you're just getting out there, you're doing the thing, then that's enough, and it gives you enough of a drive to move forward without, again, giving you so much positivity and so much of a yeah, we can do it, that it blinds you to potentially very small obstacles that will cause you all manner of pain if you step on them the wrong way. You know, keep that kind of thing in mind. We want to be realistic and maybe even a little cynical and jaded in the way that we approach these things when it comes to motivation, rather than just going, yeah, we can do, and go and running off at something which, you know, often doesn't work out too well. But anyway, guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments in regards to knowing when to stop, knowing your limits, and if there's anything else that you add to this list of things to kind of help you on your way there. But either way, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the video later. Take care. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video or found it interesting, then please drop us a like, share this video, and subscribe for more. And I'll see you in the video later. Take care.